Hello everyone, today we're going to talk about different investment strategies people have used to purchase real estate, hold real estate, make money in the whole thing. So first off, I want to just share this disclaimer. I'm not advocating for any of these methods. These are just methods that I have seen. I've worked with people who have used these methods. I'm not advocating for any one of them. It is just how people do it and what I've seen over the course of my career. Now the first one is what a lot of people already know about, which is called property flipping. So somebody comes in with money, usually they get a hard money loan or they have some money saved up. They buy a property, usually one that's been pretty beat up at a discount of some way. They could buy it at auction or whatnot. They buy it, they renovate it, they do all this work to it, and then they turn around and they sell it for a higher value to make some money off of it. That's what you see on HGTV and all these different shows of people buying these properties and flipping them. So it's a very common way for people to make money in real estate is when they can buy and flip them. But there's also another way that you can do it that is very similar in its idea, but it's more of a long-term thing. So the other method is to buy and hold. So buy and hold is usually if you buy a property with the intent of it being purchasing it as an investment property and then holding that property and renting it out. And then, you make your money on it from month to month from whatever you can charge the rents, whatever's been agreed upon, and then how much money that you will make on top of that. Now, some people still purchase properties at auction, renovate them, do a lot of work to them, and then instead of just turning around and selling that property, they'll actually hold on to it so they can get the best they can rent-wise, they get the most they can out of it, and then they'll rent it out. I've worked with a lot of people who actually do this and have done it over many, many years. It's just they're either active at certain times and then inactive in others. Right now, with how expensive things are, especially in California or along the coasts or most everywhere is kind of feeling the expense of real estate and properties have gone up. Buying and flipping has become more difficult, but there's still people out there that are willing to do it. Another method that I have seen, and that is probably not as common, but people do it, is they will pool their money together and they will actually create an LLC, and they'll pool their money together and they'll buy properties through that corporation, so through that limited liability corp. And why they do that and how that works is that they will pool their money together, they'll purchase the property and then they'll rent it out, and then each person gets a cut of that, or they'll flip it and sell it, and then each person gets a cut of the profits that are on top of it. So these are all methods that I've seen people use, and I've seen them use to different degrees of success. Now, when it comes to the flipping side of things, if they just turn on and flip it, I don't usually have much to do with those people because they usually get a hard money loan. It's usually a short-term loan. It has to be paid back in very quickly, or it's a balloon, which means the sum of the principal of whatever they borrowed basically has to be paid back in one lump chunk. So it's either they sold the property and then they pay that stuff off, or they acquire a new loan to cover it. So that's the only time I get to work with those type of investors is if they're getting a normal loan, which is usually what they would go through my company to do, to pay off that hard money loan, and then they're gonna keep that property and then just hold it. But if they're truly just flipping it, I don't usually get to work with them as much. It just depends on what their situation is. I've had teams of people that they work together to buy homes in auction and then flip them as quick as they can, and then they'll actually hold some if it makes sense monetarily, or they'll flip it and then actually sell it. Now there's different tax ramifications for doing this sort of thing. I'm not a tax expert, I'll never claim to be. I just see what ends up happening on people's tax returns when they do this type of work. And they can make a lot of money doing this thing one way or the other, but one's more of like a long-term type deal where you have lots of properties and lots of renters, and then the other is kind of more of a shorter term. It's still not short term, but a shorter term, great expense and then great income. Now the last one I wanted to discuss is not one that I see too often, is anytime you buy a property that is more than 4 units, okay, so it's more than a fourplex, you can't use the type of lending that most traditional lenders do. At that point, you're gonna have to get a business loan. So that's 5 units or more. So if you're buying an apartment complex, even if it's a small apartment complex, or even the really big ones, that's where you end up into this new town of commercial lending and having to get that type of loan to do that. And I don't do that kind of loan. So 1 unit, 2 unit, 3 unit, 4 unit, you can use traditional means. 5 units and more, you're gonna talk to a commercial lender. So that's it for me today. I just wanted to share that information with everyone. It's just how some people get into investing in real estate. It's not some money marketing scheme where someone says it's really easy and they don't have to use their own money and they can make a bunch of money. It's not a get rich quick kind of thing. Like, these are legitimate professionals who do this sort of thing and have become successful over time. But as with real estate, things go in cycles. Haven't really worked with a lot of people who do that kind of work right now. Now, does that mean it's not happening? It's still happening in other places around the world. It's still happening in other parts of the country. Not so much in California where I primarily work. So that's it. If you like this kind of content, please like the video, share it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment if you have any questions or anything comes up to mind. I'd love to have a discourse with you and discuss it. So that's it. Take care. Peace.